Now, I know 2023 was filled with a lot of bangers, but there are some games that left me thoroughly disappointed. Now, in this list, some of the games didn't necessarily come out in 2023, it's just that I played them in 2023. Now, this is my list, my personal list, so if you really like the game on this list, I mean no disrespect to your opinion, and please let me know if you agree or disagree in the comments down below, and what are your disappointing games of 2023. I would love to hear them. So without further ado, let's get into my most disappointing games of 2023. Now, the first one on this list is a real shame, and that is Final Fantasy 16. Now, this was a game that I loved at the beginning, but once the honeymoon phase ended, I was sorely disappointed. The demo kind of set my hype levels to somewhat unreachable levels, because the demo is pretty hype. It was basically the prologue of this game, and it got me really excited. I even made a video saying how good the demo was and applauding it and just overall hyped for the official game. But once I played the official game, slowly the cracks started to show. Though I'm not going to criticize the combat, whether it should be turn-based or action-based, this is not that conversation, and overall the combat was alright for the game. But the other parts of this game, I have stuff to say. It's a game that has peaks and valleys, but the valleys are more like canyons with how much of a slog this game could be at times. One thing I would give this game is the graphical fidelity, and the looks of it is just gorgeous. So this game looks amazing, but that's the end of my praise because the rest of the game tends to fall really flat. First thing on the list is the side quests, and man, are they boring. There was a point in the game where I was just like, I'm not taking any side quests unless they're important because I'm just not into any of you guys right now. Even the side characters, which had a bit of personality in the beginning, become like a stereotypical character. Except Gav. I loved Gav so much. Poor thing had to be the comic relief for this depressing game. Now, Clive as a character himself is very one note. He reminds me of Cloud, but without the Cloud sassiness. And the world itself is very depressing. The whole atmosphere of Final Fantasy 16 is just depressing. I just feel like they went really hard for this dark, grunting, brooding atmosphere that they forgot the lighthearted moments of what makes a Final Fantasy game so fun. And as I'm making this video, I'm not going to play the DLC because I really wasn't into the game when I played it in the first place, so I'm not going to play the DLC. So I was thoroughly disappointed with Final Fantasy 16. Now we're gonna have to wait 11 more years for the next one. Woohoo! Next one on the list is Fire Emblem Engage. Let's just say this game gave me a new appreciation for Fire Emblem Fates, and Fates wasn't a good game. This one's even worse. The story feels like something out of a Saturday morning cartoon. Alright, I take that back because that is a huge insult to Saturday morning cartoons. The story of Fire Emblem Engage is basically a very bad, watered down version of Awakening with a lot of previous Fire Emblem characters, which is not explained very well at all. Why are they here? What's the purpose of the emblem ring? Who made it? Any questions or explanations for that are thrown out the window. You don't need to know why this works. It just works. Believe me, fam. And the characters really don't make things even better. They actually make them worse. The characters are one note. They all have a stereotypical archetype to them, and that is it. There are a few characters that have somewhat of a decent story, but other than that, all the characters to the trash. And this also includes your protagonist, Alear. Now, Alear is a divine dragon and everybody worships at his or her feet. The main protagonist is like a Mary Sue. The only moment where I was like, oh my god, this is interesting, was chapter 10 when the scales turn and the villain actually does something big to the protagonist, and you're like, wow, we have some consequences to this action. But then that gets thrown away after chapter 10 and you're like, dang. The next point I want to emphasize is the character designs. They are cartoonishly bad, but their outfits are just like so unpractical that it actually took me out of the game. Now, I love outfits that are not very practical but look good, but with Fire Emblem Engage, it was just so bad. Like, I missed the simple designs of Lucina or Corrin, and with the Engage feature where you can see characters from the past, you can literally see their outfits compared to the Engage outfits, and you're like, dang, that's weird. There are characters that have hair so long, it's the length of their dress. Ma'am, can you tie up your damn hair? You're gonna trip on it or something, or someone's gonna light it on fire. I don't know, but that seems dangerous. Or someone just walking up with freaking pom-poms on their outfit. So all that to say, the story and character designs really ruined my fun with this game. Now, the saving grace to this game is the gameplay. I will admit that Fire Emblem Engage has the best gameplay in the Fire Emblem series, which pains me to say because the story is trash and the characters are even trashier. And for the people out there saying, oh, it's not about the story or the characters or the lore, it's about the gameplay, dude. I'm like, did you guys play Three Houses? Did you like the story of Three Houses? It would have been a very bad game if all three routes had a very bad story. To me, when people say they don't care about the story, is literally saying I am ready to play a game where it's just back-to-back combat with no meaning to it. The point of a story in a game is to add meaning to the conflict, to the gameplay. Now, there are some people who could power through a story if it has good gameplay, and to that I respect it, but for me, story is important. If I was in charge, I would have said remake Awakening with this gameplay. That would be an epic anniversary title for Fire Emblem, not this trash. So if you made it this far, then the next game is probably gonna have you clicking out because my next disappointing game is Pikmin 4. Now, where do I start with Pikmin 4? First of all, the game is made really good. The visuals, the music, the gameplay, how smooth it is very good on the Switch. It has that Nintendo seal of quality. But why it's disappointing to me is because Pikmin 4 didn't have the Pikmin identity to it. What do I mean by that? Well, let me explain. Now, I really love Pikmin 3. It was my first entry into the series, and I feel like that one really captured what Pikmin is supposed to be about. I mean that it really puts you into this stranded on a planet kind of vibe, where Pikmin 4 doesn't feel stranded. It feels like you're exploring a planet that's just been colonized or something because everybody is there. Everything that you'll need is there. It doesn't have that survival aspect to it like Pikmin 3, 2, and 1. 4 is very cluttered with a lot of things that don't really matter. So the whole goal in Pikmin 4 is to rescue Omar, and you need the Pikmin as allies to that endeavor. But like I said, where this game really disappointed me was the implementation of the Pikmin and the overall feel of the game. It doesn't feel like you're stranded or need food or water or anything because all you're doing is collecting treasure. And the Pikmin themselves are very cute. I would add they're adorable, but they feel kind of meaningless. Yes, you could throw them in battle, but the battles themselves are really formulaic. You gotta find the enemy's weak spot, exploit it, grab your Pikmin before it attacks and kills them, rinse and repeat. Now there is some tactics to it because some Pikmin are immune to fire, water, electricity, and then there's the fact of the onion, which oddly enough, if you find Pikmin, you could put it in the onion, but you can't reproduce them if you don't have the onion for that Pikmin type. Like the ice Pikmin, you don't get the ice onion till like later on in the story, so most of the ice Pikmin you have are usually found in the world, which I found really weird and odd. And I also hate the Dandori battles. First of all, they make you play that stupid thing for the story. If it wasn't for the story, I would not touch the Dandori battles with a 10-foot pole, but you need to do them. So basically what the Dandori battles are is you have to find more treasure than your opponent. Oh, I almost forgot. There is this one feature that I hate, and that is the nighttime, because I thought in nighttime you could do your usual stuff, but at night. But no, the nighttime mechanic is like a freaking tower control kind of gameplay, and I hate those things so much, where you have to protect this sandcastle of glowing Pikmin, but you need to do some of them to get the syrup to cure a disease, and it's just annoying. It is very annoying. I hate it. If I were to describe this game, it would be a missed potential, cluttered mess. Sorry, Pikmin. Next game on this list is another missed potential, and that is Master Detective Archives Raincoat. Now, this game is made by the same people who made Danganronpa 1, 2, and 3. And I love those games so much. So when they announced this one, I was just like, wow! And I was really itching for a mystery game like Danganronpa for so long. And I know this game wasn't gonna be like Danganronpa, but man, it strayed way too far. Now, the game itself had a fantastic beginning. The prologue had me gripped. You had a train scenario, dead bodies, everything. So much jam-packed into the prologue that I was just like, man, if this is the prologue, I can't wait to see the actual game chapters. But little did I know that the prologue was the peak of the game, and everything after it is kind of its downfall. So this game is a mystery game that you have to solve mysteries to progress into the story. But the main gameplay gimmick of this game is the Shimigami. Now, the Shimigami itself wasn't a problem. I love Death Note and the use of the Shimigami where it wasn't really unfair and all the characters were doing this 4D chess game where it felt believable. But in this game, oh my god, did they lean on the Shimigami way too much. So much that I feel like if it wasn't for that, they probably wouldn't have solved the mystery by themselves, which is a problem. Now, the character of the Shimigami, personality-wise, is pretty insufferable, which is fine because she was written to be unlikable, but then she's everywhere. Like, everywhere, so you're gonna have to like her. Another character that I didn't like was Yuma, the protagonist. So Yuma himself is not one note or anything, he's actually very complex, but since he has amnesia, which is so I understand that he doesn't have his memory, so he feels like an outcast, but that's throughout the whole game. And the side characters are pretty bland. Tetsuhiko is pretty fun, and the guy with the blue hair, I forgot his name, he's pretty cool as well, but the other ones are just like, I'm too smart for you guys, so I'm not even gonna try. The bumbling idiot who's surprised is not a bumbling idiot all the time, and the closed off and reclusive goth guy added to the mix. And yes, I know I'm reducing these characters to archetypes, but that's just what they are, archetypes. Now, the gameplay of this game, there's not much because it's mostly a visual novel style, but there is gameplay, and that mainly takes place within the mystery labyrinth, and they're essentially a way for the characters to figure out what the heck happened in the mystery. The only problem I have about this one is on the Switch it runs like doo-doo, and also the mysteries themselves are not that difficult, especially in chapter 1, 2, and 3. The story is also very predictable and I can figure stuff out from a mile away, so it doesn't take a detective to figure out why I was so disappointed with Master Detective's Archive Ring Code. Last, we have Alan Wake Remastered. So without a doubt, the story is great. I love the story, it captivated me and it gripped me from beginning to end. The story was the only reason I kept going with this game because the gameplay had failed me. So if anybody is ever wondering why I didn't like Alan Wake, especially on Twitter where I said, you know, this game is garbage, just skip it, here's your explanation to that. Alan can't run. He can't run. There are enemies throwing axes at his face and he still can't run. Oh, but the enemies could run and they could run fast, but not Alan. No. So for whatever reason, you could only run for a short burst of speed that lasts like a second before Alan loses his breath. There's no upgrade system to improve it. There's no stamina system to improve either. Alan uses a gun and a flashlight and could barely run. So it was hard for me to get enough distance to shine the light on the enemy long enough and shoot them. But you don't have any distance, so they mob you very, very fast. That's how I died most of the time. The mob. And to add insult to injury, most of the chapters, they take away all your good items to start the new chapter. Like there was this one chapter I had this good, beefy, big flashlight, and then they took it away and then you have to start all over again. It's very infuriating how this game operates. But the real kicker to this is the other types of enemies, which are the poltergeist enemies. Now these enemies are not really enemies because they're just items possessed by the darkness. The darkness will legit throw everything at you. You have from cardboard boxes, crates, cans, even freaking tractors coming after you. All you have to do is shine a light on it, but it's really freaking hard when you can't run. This gameplay is just really unfair. Anyways, that is it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Sorry for the rants. Leave the games you were disappointed in 2023 in the comments down below. Do you agree with the list or do you don't? Let me know that as well. If you like this video, hit that like button, and if you like my content and would love to see more, then please hit that subscribe button as well. I would appreciate it. You can find me on my socials in the description down below. I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of the day, and as always, play a good game. Just not these. Peace, peace.